Oh, good, because I was like,
prepped. No, that was just
la 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 la.
last week on Basement Discourse, we told a bunch of nerds to go out and find friends.
Oh, this is the show that we're doing.
Shit.
Alrighty, welcome to episode 2 of Basement Discourse. I'm Jace, the most handsome gamer in the world. We've got Brady, our hentai aficionado, and Justin, the man who puts the dungeon in Dungeons and Dragons.
Bringing the D in the D.
Oh,
nice.
man, I'm not even mad. That was great. That was great.
And
now I've got to spend the first half an hour explaining to Justin what hentai is.
This is true.
Okay, well, the first part, we've got to send this over to Justin now, because Justin needs to tell us about the anime recommendations and what he thinks of them. Then at the end of this episode, you can give hentai recommendations.
This is true, because I didn't know there was a difference. So I thought there was another name for the same thing. So I was given some homework this week to watch Konosuba, which I didn't even know how to spell prior to last week.
That's why I wrote it.
Yeah.
Fair, neither did I.
And to be fair, it's not a word. It's
Konosuba.
Yeah, it's an abbreviation.
In the show.
Yeah.
And Deathnote, both very different, I found, almost immediately. So I'll start with Deathnote because that's the one I started with. I watched a downloaded version of it, so another subject we will be bringing up on a later show entirely definitely will be dubs versus subs, which was part of my dilemma with beginning with Deathnote, because the first 3 episodes were subbed and the 4th was dubbed. And then the 5th was
that is so rough.
It really, really messed it up pretty bad, because they're obviously different voice actors, and it just threw me off. But aside from that little hiccup, really enjoyed it. So I've got to say, as my first leap into anime ever, it was good. It was dark. It was cool. The first episode where he basically says that he wants to become a god. That
speech though, that speech was fucking awesome,
right? Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah,
so I would highly recommend it to anyone out there.
That's good news.
So definitely, yeah, I would say that it's a good one for people who probably don't even like anime, like myself included. Before this, wasn't a huge fan. Immediately a sort of a gateway for me was that. So that's perfect.
That's a success, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hooked. I'm about 7 eps in now. I think I was about half an ep through before we started recording tonight, and I'll be leaping back into that definitely this week to try and get it finished. So,
are you yet ready to take a potato chip and eat it?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, damn.
It must be like real soon.
It's one of the most memed Death Note things in history, and it's so good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Before we move on, I'll just throw some questions at you just out of curiosity, just see how you went.
Quiz the man.
Yeah. No, I'm not quizzing you on the show.
Episode 3 at 3 minutes in.
Yeah.
No, what was L wearing?
Yeah, I don't think he's even seen L yet, if I had to guess.
No, I have. Only just though.
Yeah.
Just
what?
last episode.
How'd you go art style? Because that's different. Because you would have watched your anime like life experience would be like Dragon Ball and Pokemon. So this is Death Note is sort of its own thing, and Konosuba is another, and we can talk about that later. But how did you find watching it? Was it jarring? Was it fine? Because Death Note's quite muted as far as colors go compared to like something like Konosuba, especially.
Yeah, no, I thought it was quite interesting the way they did it.
Yeah. So art's the boring question, but yeah,
it worked really well. Yeah, it was dark, but it worked. Ryuka's kind of fits that picture really well. So the whole thing works.
So the only good thing the live action did, and this is basically because fans screamed about it. Don't watch the live action, by the way.
Let's clarify though. The Netflix live
action.
Yeah,
the Japanese
live action isn't too bad.
That's pretty good. As far as adapting anime goes, it's pretty good.
Yep.
The Netflix Death Note was atrocious. We covered that already, but Ryuk is voiced by Willem Dafoe, and he's CGI.
Right.
which is the best casting ever for that character. So that you might just look up a trailer for it. It's and you'll get that. But you'll know if you watch Death Note and you enjoy it, you'll know why people despise the live action. You'll probably get that from the trailer. But yeah, cool. All right, so that was question. Art style. You switched subs to dubs. No, you went the other way. You went English then Japanese. Is that right?
I went Japanese, then English, then back to Japanese now. So yeah.
There are some shows that it almost doesn't matter, but Death Note, like, because there's,
to be honest, like I think a lot of the time when I'm watching something or anything, and I think this is probably true for most people, they're doing something else. So I'm sure we'll cover this on dubs and subs a little bit deeper, but just to like clarify what the hell I'm even talking about, dubs, like it's a little bit easier to sort of do two things, to multitask, I suppose, because that's the life we're in right now. But I did find that I was much more immersed when I was actually just deeply immersed in it, watching it, and like, using the subs instead. So that seemed to work better, I think. Like you actually involve yourself.
Oh, okay. So you actually found an advantage to that. That's cool.
I definitely see that there's an advantage to just stopping doing multiple things and just actually being forced to watch it, because you couldn't really, unless you knew the language, obviously, you couldn't just watch Death Note in the corner whilst, doing something else. So there's no chance.
So Basement Discourse would now like to comment on society and its issues with technology addiction, being on your phone while you're watching something.
Yeah, but
and we would like to turn this
technology and watch this though.
We would like to talk a lot about mindfulness and being in the present moment, and like
I would not.
No.
I want no part
No, that's
of
cool.
mindfulness.
All right. Do you want to do a review on the episodes you've done thus far? Like a more in-depth one, or you just wanted to leave that till you've gotten through more? Obviously, you enjoy it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the story's definitely developing. He's a super dark kid. You think he's doing it all for like the right reasons, and then you realize kind of he's doing it for his own personal reasons.
Yeah, it's sort of like he starts as a hero, then before the end of the first episode, he becomes an anti-hero. Yeah. And then it just keeps degrading from there.
Yeah, it seems to get worse as it goes along. And then there's like Ryuk is like just this like sort of guy in the corner, like, completely indifferent as to what's
chaotic
happening.
Neutral and a half.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
just cool with whatever. Like just laughing about things that he knows is happening in the background.
I like that he
like, the demon eyes, that was pretty cool. I have a feeling maybe that'll come back later on, like maybe when he's, shit's going down and maybe, L's right on his tail, maybe he will make that deal. I don't know. This is just a future thought, possibly. I don't know.
Oh, I can't wait. So, cool, man.
Everyone who's already seen it was already like, you asshole. You have no idea.
No. It's, they take you for a turn in Death Note. All right, Konosuba, how'd you go?
That was actually really good.
They're so different.
Very.
Yeah. So Death Note, psychological thriller with supernatural elements. Yeah. Konosuba, gamer comedy with fantasy a bunch, a bunch of like, there are anime cliches in there, but they make it very fun because the show doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah. I think if it went a little bit more serious, like maybe Dragon Ball Z-esque, I think it probably would be a bit cringe. But the fact that they just are always taking the piss, they're always talking about how they're leveling up and all the rest of it. And like, I'm up to a part where he's, maybe I shouldn't ruin it, because maybe what if people aren't? I
think you can do stuff that isn't like story spoiling, but in the case of like Death Note, we can talk a lot freer because it's quite old. In the case of Konosuba, I think my rule would be like, it's fine because it's comedy. It's not like it doesn't live or die on the plot. You're not watching it for that, so you can probably feel pretty free. I wouldn't like destroy it, but do you want to set us up the premise and what you took away from it? Because I think it's very funny. And I don't think
I haven't seen it.
I was going to say I don't think Jace has seen it either.
Oh man. So there's basically Jace in the real world. Decides to get out of the house to buy a video game.
He does like a 3-day.
This is unrealistic already.
I know. Right? You went out of the house.
Okay, he did a 3-day gaming streak.
Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah, this makes more sense. Yeah. He had to go and pick up a game that he had pre-ordered for all of the pre-order content. Went and picked it up. On his way home, spots this girl that he thinks he knows from school, turns around and thinks she's about to get run over by a car, dives out in front of the car, pushes her out of the way, saves her, and wakes up dead. The god that is in front of her is it's name something Aqua.
Goddess Aqua. Yeah.
Goddess Aqua. Basically just says like, oh, you're dead. This is, the afterlife. We decide where you go from here. And then explains that
he has a choice.
He has a choice. I won't tell you how he died. And I think that part is actually quite funny. So I'll leave that.
It's fucking hysterical.
It's too good. She's just so harsh about it, but she's really, really rough on it.
Well, I think you kind of have to tell a little bit there because there's a little bit more. So we'll leave that bit out so he can laugh about it himself when he watches it. But essentially, she makes fun of him and says, now you have a choice. You can go to heaven or you can go to this fantasy world and help them save the world from the evil overlord, basically.
She also describes heaven as like the biggest pile of crap.
Yeah, she's like, you can't even have sex and everybody sucks.
I'm straight up out.
Also,
this guy is
you were out anyway because it's a gamer world. Like, it's like your choice is heaven or a fantasy realm. Like,
yeah, sign me up.
So she's making fun of him, and says to him, "What does she do? She offers him a bunch of shit, right? Like you can have
there's like
one object to take with you,
object, and there's like all these different power cards, basically with all these different abilities, like magical abilities and stuff. Like you get to choose one thing from here,
one ultimate sword or spell, shield or some shit." And she just keeps laughing at him and keeps ripping into him about the way he died and the way he lived his life. And as like, I think he was just mad. He just kind of looks up and is like, well, I'll just take you. And she goes, okay, wait, what? And then another goddess appears and is like, all right then, both of you down. I think that's enough because any more than that is total wrong. But
they're set on the task of killing an ultimate boss basically in this world, which is way out of their reach. And they're just dropped on their ass into a small village with basically nothing to start. So
and
from there they're just basically scrounging.
It's just so funny because we've all played that gamer concept dropped into the town of beginnings, and he's played it a lot because he's a gamer and he's expecting to he's like, where's our starter money? And she's like, you don't get any. Why did you do this to me? And he's like, why were you gonna do this to me? What do you mean we have no starter money? And then they like go and they're like sleeping in like a barn and like he's like, there's magic in this world and I'm doing laborer work. He's like helping build brick walls and shit. It's really funny.
Seems like the deeper in you go, the less they actually make as well. Like the more money they make, the more repairs they have to spend on like all the crap they break along the way. It's just, it's such a goof and it's fantastic. And again, I would recommend it to pretty much anyone. When I saw the cover, I did judge the book by the cover and looked at it and went, "Oh my god, here we go! Like this is definitely like a Pokemon-esque like goof." Like,
well, it also looks like because it kind of is. It is a bit of a harem situation. Do you need that explanation, Justin?
No. I know exactly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. It does look like that, and it is kind of, but like because it is a comedy, and they constantly rip into the fact that that's occurring kind of thing. It's fine. It's not what you're thinking. It's not like a Sword Art situation or one of those other animes. It's fine and it's funny.
Yeah, it's hella funny. So get onto it, Jace. I think you would love it.
So glad you enjoyed those two, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for the recommendations.
That's cool.
Probably the rest of those very soon. So
I won't give you any more because I'm a seasoned anime watcher and I struggle juggling. Too many shows at once gets very jarring.
Yeah, plus the depth of Deathnote, like that's just too much. If I had another one that's that deep on top of that, then I'm screwed. So yeah.
No.
Give the man When They Cry.
Yeah.
Like I've seen all of When They Cry and I still think about it, and I'm like, do I actually know what the fuck just happened? Like it's real confusing.
It's a mystery horror, yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
once either of you go through the seasons, we'll have a chat about it and see if you come to the same conclusion that I did.
So
Because I can't spoil anything. So
yeah, I was like, so I have like an episode rule with anime, and I think this is a good thing to employ if you're getting into it as well. I go 3 to 4 because I'm more patient than most, and because I know anime and what it does. But when I turned on When They Cry, I was just in the mood to chill the fuck out on like a Sunday afternoon. I made it 3 seconds because I was just like, because I read the synopsis, I was like, oh yeah, cool, sounds a bit mystery. Yeah, I wonder what's going on. And then it's just like, this isn't a spoiler because it's the first 3 seconds, but it's just a baseball bat beating someone's face in, as far as I could tell. I was like,
yes,
nope, this is not my casual Sunday viewing. No, thank you.
It was actually 2 people's faces, if I remember correctly.
I didn't get that far. 3 seconds, dude. 3 seconds. I was like, nope, this not what I'm in the mood for. No, thank you. Right. I do watch horror stuff. I do watch some gory stuff, but I was like, not today.
Yeah, you definitely need to give it a crack at some point. And
I
then
will.
We should have a chat about it.
No,
and when Justin becomes a full-fledged weeb, he gets his weeb wings, then we'll have to bring him into the chat and see what his thoughts on it are too.
I'm curious because plot lines and story development is something a dungeon master would know a lot about. So I'm curious.
Or he should.
Yeah, one would hope. That's cool. Well, we talked quite a bit about some anime stuff. You right there? Who skipped?
What?
No, it's just Justin's just staying too still again.
I'm listening. I'm actively listening. Jeez.
So that was your homework. You had fun. You're going to continue your anime journey, not just for the sake of this show?
Nah, it was good, man. I really actually enjoyed it. So not just saying that because we're on air. Like, both of them were good in their own rights. They were great stories. Like, Konosuba is good to just jump in and out of. You know, it's 20 minutes an episode. You have a laugh before sleep. You know, you have a laugh in the morning. It's great. Yeah.
Cool.
Watch it when I'm eating my cereal. Watch it while I'm supposed to be working. You know, it's good.
Cool. Well, I think last time we spoke like a lot about how to get into it and what we got into to get us into our thing that we're, claiming our level of personality to. So what about what we're doing now?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Me at the moment. Oh.
No, you're right.
Me at the moment, I've picked up Halo Infinite lately, the new Halo game. So the actual campaign isn't out yet.
Yeah,
but the multiplayer is.
Is it just multiplayer? Because I went to download it the other day on the Xbox, and I'm like, is it just multiplayer or what?
Yeah, so at the moment it's just multiplayer.
Yeah, right.
And the multiplayer's free. I think it's going to remain free even after the launch of the single player campaign.
Yeah.
And so I just started giving it a crack recently, and it's fun, man. Like, it has a lot of vibes very similar to like older arena shooters like Quake and Unreal Tournament, Doom, things like that. Like those old school first person shooters like pre Call of Duty days. A lot of really cool weapons and stuff.
So they had like the grappling hook style thing going on.
Yeah,
similar to Apex, was it?
Yeah, so Apex does have a grappling hook. I think even Call of Duty has a grappling hook now too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
As soon as something works on like another game, they're like, "Hey, it's a great idea. We should probably steal that."
Yes, that's exactly.
Seems to be how it goes.
Yeah, so that game's pretty fun. Still getting the hang of it. Still pretty shit at aim, so got to work on that. And
are they doing a battle royale thing, or are they just like steering clear away from it? Okay, that's pretty clever. Yeah.
So they've got their normal game modes, like your death matches. I think they call it Slayer. Capture the flag, the classic. And then there's a few other random modes and stuff. And then they've actually got a competitive mode as well for actual ranked play, which I haven't bothered to get into just yet because I'm like, I should figure out how the guns work first.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of Halo Infinite.
Have
Good.
you played the ones prior to that? Like, do you recognize maps and stuff? Like, are they
Nope.
the same maps or are they like all new?
So my experience with Halo is I played a bit of one on the original Xbox. Then the Master Chief Collection came out on PC recently. I've finished Halo Reach. I've played, I think, 3 missions into the first Halo game now. So I know fuck all about Halo.
Yeah, right.
So this is all new to me, basically. And I only got into it because I have a whole bunch of Halo nerd friends who are like, hey, you should play Halo. I hear it's a pretty good game, guys. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll give that a crack. But yeah, it's pretty good. And I know nothing about it. So I don't know if they've carried over maps or anything like that.
Yeah.
I know Call of Duty like to do that.
I would just assume with a name like Halo Infinite that like they just go on like best of for all the maps and such. But I mean, I'm
probably DLCs later, right?
Yeah, well, they could do the what was it? I think it was Battlefield 4 did a thing where they had DLC where it was just maps from Battlefield 3
games. Yeah.
Yeah. How to charge you for something you played in a previous game in a current game.
Yeah, but now it's got better graphics.
Speaking of previous games in current games, Grand Theft Auto, I know you've been playing that.
Yeah, man.
Segue there.
Yeah. Nice. I like your use of segue.
I know, right?
That was super smooth too. You were just it's like, remember how like you do games and this is another game and game. That's segueing. Justin's version.
Yes.
I have been playing the old GTA. It's like I have this thing I regularly replay GTA 3. It's like I just love that game so much. I don't replay Vice City or San Andreas all that much, but I have played them somewhat recently-ish. But I'm now back onto San Andreas because I've finished 3 and Vice City. San Andreas, I had forgotten how much of a massive leap it was from Vice City to San Andreas. I always like in my, rose-tinted glasses, I'm like, 3 was okay. Vice City added motorbikes and stuff like that. And then San Andreas was just a big map. And I was like, that is definitely not what happened. There is so much. There's like the dating part of the game. You can get tattoos. You can buy different clothes.
Food.
There's food. There's exercise. It was also the first one that allowed you to move your camera with your mouse. So in all the other games, you could only look left, right, forward, or backwards from your car. You can actually move your mouse around like you can in all the modern GTA.
I had not even noticed that.
Yeah, so I didn't even realize it, but then I started playing and I'm like, wait, I can do that. And so good. Absolutely. So good. And I also have a weird thing. I really didn't get into the story of San Andreas younger because, being 12, white and suburbia, didn't really know about the struggles of South Central LA or sort of the undertone that they were trying to go with the whole LA riots and West Coast culture, stuff like that. But playing it now, it's much, much better story. Really cool game. And cool. it's also not the definitive edition. So if you guys have heard about the definitive edition,
I haven't.
I've never heard it's janky as shit.
Yeah. So Rockstar released a remaster of GTA 3 Vice City San Andreas.
All they did was turn the contrast up and send out broken shit.
Dude, is this the one I keep seeing like weird edits of on the internet of someone like attracting a giant shark or some shit as well?
Maybe.
Yeah, they were like, if you do this in the water in this edition, for some reason a giant shark comes and like it's like genuinely it eats a boat. I was like, is this a mod or is this real? I don't know.
Who even knows anymore? But
the YouTube tunnel.
Definitive Edition was a mess. So I'd like to clarify because it came out very recently that's not what I was playing. But Definitive Edition, just like watching videos of it, it's so bad. Like pedestrians can fully incapacitate a car.
It's like hitting a brick wall.
If you're driving and you hit a pedestrian, it can total your car. Yeah. It's just insane. And people just falling through the floor, cops teleporting next to your car and pulling you out to bust you.
Oh,
That's literally like, it's making invisible the most difficult and annoying part of the game is like dodging cops. And so you can't even avoid it at certain times. They just blink next to you and pull you out.
Helpful.
Yeah. So the game's an absolute mess. Rockstar have apologized.
Yeah.
They've also reissued the original releases back onto Steam and other platforms because they took them off before releasing the definitive edition.
So, and then everyone's mods like just went to shit. So they couldn't use them anymore either. So that's jacked.
Yeah. And so they've now returned that. And anyone who has definitive edition is supposed to get free copies of the older games, I think, and stuff like that. They're basically apologizing as much as they can. But yeah, it's an absolute mess. But yeah, good times.
I don't know how any of this stuff.
Copy of GTA 5 to come out on whatever console they're missing out on. Yeah.
I have no idea how this stuff. It happens regularly in the gaming world, right? Like, how the fuck does this get through testing?
So that's a really interesting thing, and it is something that we can talk about a little bit while I'm wearing my Cyberpunk 2077 shirt.
I have not played it, and I've still heard continuously the fucking mess that is Cyberpunk.
Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the game, but it has bugs. And the thing is, right, when you're making a game or any piece of software, right, you test it and you test it in all the ways you possibly can, right?
That's literally anything. Like when you're making food, do you not taste it? Or do you just follow an idea and then go, hey, here's an idea? Like,
it gets a little harder because like with food, you make it and then you put it in your mouth. Whereas with a game, you don't know if someone's going to grab the fork and jam it up their ass, you know? Like...
That's why they used to come... This is the problem that they don't come
That
with
is the 0
booklets.
to a billion.
Well, like, that's the thing, though, is like the amount of like ridiculous bugs that have been found just because of the most absurd conditions being met. And they're just met through the most arbitrary things. So, like, for example, many years ago when the original BioShock came out, I had a bug that turned out to be a known bug, and it was based on the sound card that I had in my computer because it had a specific driver on that sound card. It caused some sort of null condition that just removed all audio after about 30 seconds in the game. The moment you land in the water in BioShock, audio stops, never works again for the game.
Wow.
And so it's just all these things. So you've got to account for all the different types of hardware, the different combinations that can possibly be there, other software, things people could do. And with games like GTA, it's an open world game. People are going to try all sorts of shit.
Oh, yeah. And you know what I've seen the last few days? Just to interrupt real quick, just from a gaming perspective. So the new Pokemon remakes got released.
Yeah, what, Shiny Pearl or whatever?
Yeah, Brilliant and Shining, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Diamond and Pearl remix. But I keep seeing on YouTube all these suggestions for like how to get this Pokemon early on by using the surf glitch. And it's like, what the fuck are people doing? This game came out like a week ago. How did you be like, all you got to do is interrupt when this person talks to you by selecting this in the menu and then doing this, and it screws up the conditions. So then you can surf on land, go through a wall, and then you can be at the spot where you're not supposed to ever be able to get to. And I'm like, it's been a week. What the fuck, people?
To get you there.
You remember the whole missing no thing? Or that was missing number or whatever.
Yeah, and everyone knew it.
Yeah. But like someone found it and then obviously passed it on. But it was like you had to surf up and down the coast and
it was a whole thing. You had to like catch a certain Pokemon, and then release it, and then surf in this one spot, and then it was weird.
And basically then it just triggered it was, and I can't remember what Pokemon it's actually supposed to be, but it's the end of memory on the cartridge, and yeah. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is like game testers can't account for all those conditions.
Yeah.
However, you've got to account for basic conditions like person will walk in front of car.
Yeah.
Will car burst into flames? Yes or no? Like, so there are problems where like crunch, which is a big thing that probably you might have heard about with the whole Cyberpunk thing, because they were delayed, there was lots of pressure on the QA team to be testing and making sure everything's perfect and, you know, just making sure nothing can possibly go wrong so they can get it out the door. But in doing that, you can't test for all the dumb things people might do, or you can't check that every pedestrian is going to meet certain requirements. Like there's one wall in the game in Cyberpunk where pedestrians just constantly walk into the wall, and if they hit it hard enough, I'm pretty sure it can actually kill them. And it's just a basic pathing issue. And when they found this bug and it became popular, they actually just added like texture on the wall that says, you know, hit head here. And so the pedestrians still hit it rather than fixing it. But yeah, so like you can't account for those small things, but this is where these like notoriously buggy games run into problems, is they didn't fix the obvious stuff.
Yeah.
The obscure stuff we can live with.
No, I've played Skyrim, right? Like, so Skyrim's notorious for bugs that they just left in because people enjoyed some of them. And I've enjoyed the ones where I've like jumped on a certain thing and then managed to get to a balcony I'm definitely not supposed to be at.
Yeah.
But I've also fucking hated walking through a cave and just falling through the floor.
Like, dude, what? Invisible floors have been the bane of my existence since 3D games existed.
Yeah. Just what happened?
The world disappear above your head.
Yeah, and then
it's usually like a line.
And worse yet, it's like you haven't saved in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Or some stupid autosave went off like a step before you step down, and you're like,
so you're and
you load up and you're like,
death loop. Fucking death loop.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah,
you're like, that's cool. I'll go back to my second save.
Yeah, which is 5 hours. Yeah.
That's what I miss from like the old days of gaming. Like they used to like just create a new save file, at least on PC. I know consoles aren't the same, but on PC, like you'd go back to a game that you played, 4 years ago, and there's like 180 save files. And I'm like, that's my game. But I miss that.
I know like a lot of games now have an auto save file, but they also have your manual save file and they keep them separate. So
I do like that. That's where we've learned from our mistakes and we've actually done something about it. I really enjoy that.
So
a lot. Talking
about this, like I have a weird habit, right? So those who know me know that I love Final Fantasy. And Final Fantasy VIII is like my favorite game. Love that fucking game. Anyway, because of known save bugs in that goddamn game, or all the points that you could potentially save and then not be ready to encounter a boss or what have you, and not be able to go back to prep yourself, I made it a hard stuck habit that I will always save 3 times every time I save. And I do it now on PC. Anytime I'm playing any kind of like, usually it has to be a JRPG that triggers this thing in my brain, but it's always just 3 saves every time.
JRPGs is a very good idea with. I almost lost some on, was it 15?
15, yeah.
Was it 15? The one with Noctis?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, that's 15, yeah. Okay, can we talk about that from a gaming perspective real quick?
Yes, I loved that game.
Yeah, cool. Me too. I felt like, because I know that like once you get like 2/3 through the game, it becomes shockingly linear, and it is jarring because before that it's completely open world and free as hell. I know it got slammed for that, and I think it does deserve criticism for that. But I also feel like that storyline, as much as in and of himself is kind of annoying at times because you're like, you're just a sullen, bitchy dude. Like, ugh. Just,
Yep.
But the rest of it, holy shit. Like, the friendships on that, like, you got to camp before your experience will be racked up. You have to go do this, you have to do that, and then you go on private missions with each other. The photos, I mean, it got a bit like memed, but in the end, like, I've come up with a new recipe. Like, that game was fucking awesome. And the floating swords thing, like, Final Fantasy does weapons like no other game, but they were sick. That was awesome. Like, from the moment I saw the Versus trailer with the church, to when the game came out, I was like, I cannot wait to throw one of these swords and then appear where it is. Like, it was such a cool, and it was so bold because no Final Fantasy game had been like that one was, and there was definitely some stuff where I was like, that needed more refining, but it was fun, and the plot line was so engaging.
Yeah, like my only personal fault was that they didn't hype up Noctis's relationship enough, like with she was a princess, wasn't she?
Yeah. I feel like it's like Arya or something, but that's every Final Fantasy girl. So.
I can't remember her name, but yeah, I felt like that felt a little hollow, but like everything else was pretty fucking good. Like, you can usually fault most Final Fantasy games somewhere or other. Like, there's no perfect one. And if anyone says 7, I'll slap them so hard.
I like 7, but it's not perfect.
No, definitely not. None of them are. And that's
the same thing. Cloud has the same problem as Noctis, right? Like, they are, at least with Cloud, like, he's got memory issues. This is not a spoiler. If you call me for spoilers on Final Fantasy 7 in 2021, I'm going to be real mad. Like, if anyone has to say about
as someone who's only played the remaster.
Yeah. No, but Cloud has memory issues, so like at least he's got some excuse, whereas Noctis is just like a sullen, annoying main character. But everything he does beyond that is wicked. And
Now this is where I should chime in and ask Justin, have you actually played Final Fantasy 15?
Negative.
I've never
played a Final Fantasy in my life.
Oh, dude.
Similar to like the whole dislike of anime thing, I just looked too much like an anime. So I was like, no.
I guess
that's completely fair. They do avoid a lot of anime tropes.
From about 7 and before, though, I can totally get it with the art style.
For sure.
Why, like, I basically avoided it, and then I was like, well, now there's like way too many of them. Do I need to go back and play like the first one? Because
they're not. So that's that's the thing with Final Fantasy. You're aware they're not in the same.
I'm aware of nothing.
Okay.
So I should clarify, because I think Brady's about to go on a silly tangent. Some of them that are not technically the same game are in the same world. So if I remember correctly, 15 and 10 are in the same world.
I didn't play 10.
Okay, well, you're a trash can. Anyway.
Oh, no, I did play 10. That's with... No, that's with the kid who turns out to be a fucking a dream or some shit, isn't he? Titus. Yeah.
Thanks for spoiling 10.
Fuck off. It was a stupid ending.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
It was a stupid ending. I didn't care for it.
I was just about to go back and start playing them all. That's it. I'm not going to do that now.
Pretty much every single one that has a like number denomination is its own unique game. So 1 and 2 are completely different. 3 and 4 completely different.
They carry over traits like names of things, the way magic kind of works. Summons in the first 7 outside of the remake. They kind of work the same, and there's one recurring character in all of them, and that's Sid, but he changes forms. He's just the same name, and he's always a mechanic pretty much.
And there's also Biggs and Wedge that show up in most of them too.
Most of them, yeah. But essentially they are their own world in most of them with their complete own storyline, mostly unrelated.
You could basically pick up any one of them and it would be a single standalone type of game.
Yeah.
Cool. You start 15 and Brady starts 15 and you will have the same sort of background on the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah. That's about it.
15 though, 15 is delicious. If you want to get into Final Fantasy, I reckon that is still such a good point because it's open world for most of it, which is great. The storyline is so engaging.
It doesn't have the turn-based combat anymore either.
Yeah, so it's not like a Pokemon game.
Okay.
For just those listening, I'm sure Justin knows what turn-based is, but yeah, and there are just some other elements in it that they hadn't done previously that I think that they went out to do and try, like the fishing and like the way each character had a thing. Like it was great.
Yeah, if you're gonna
cool.
start, I think that's probably the one to start with. It's
Cool.
the least anime-ish and
Yeah,
probably
for
the
sure.
most accessible to anyone.
What about Jace? Did you do the? I mean, I didn't play any of the like updated DLC stuff down the line, except for what's his adventure? The guy who's from the bad guys or something. I don't know. Is weird. In the snow. I played that one. But did you play the Secret Cavern end game?
No, I didn't.
Good Lord. It's a labyrinth in pitch black that moves. And you have to like,
Sounds shit.
and like, it's the only part in the game where all the companions are gone because there's no combat. It's just Noctis, and all you can do is walk and run and stuff. You don't have to do anything else, and you jump. And so like some of them are timed, like you run and jump, and then that platform starts moving. But everything but what you're standing on is pitch black. So you only get through this thing by fucking up 1,000,000 times.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah,
That
that is
man.
legitimately the worst way you could sell anything.
But
straight up, that's exactly like D&D when you try and set up a maze in D&D.
That is
all it is people rolling to see where they go next. And you're like, oh,
pretty
you rolled
much.
correct. You go left, and it's the right way.
It is an
Well
end
done.
game situation though, and the reward for it is an auto dodge, which is pretty game breaking and worth it. But I think I spent like 7 hours trying to do it because I refused to YouTube a single piece of it. I was like, I'm fucking do this.
Yeah, no.
How'd you go after 7 hours?
Well, I had notes. I had to take first time I've ever gamed with notes.
What you
I mean,
didn't?
that sounds like so much fun, bro. I really wish I was there to see
The
that.
rest of the
Truly.
game, not like that. It's a secret end game. Do it if you want a situation. The rest of the game is not like that at all.
We've actually decided for our Easter special, it's going to be a podcast of Brady doing that end game.
Yeah.
Easter. Why Easter?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of a time that wasn't Christmas.
Easter, just watching me try this. What do I remember from my notes?
And then we'll do it in real life.
Perfect.
You're just going to create
in a park in the day.
Just blindfold him in a park. Flawless.
Have fun, bitch.
perfect plan. Cool, man.
So now's probably a good time to take a break, I think.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break and get back to it. Do you need money for Christmas? Do you have too many elbows? This weekend at Bob's Body Shop, we are paying top dollar for used elbows. Big ones, small ones, thick ones, tall ones. Come on down to make your Christmas a special one. I refuse to bring us back for the sake of continuity.
For fuck's sake. I'm just going to use that. That's fine.
Yep. Let's go with it.
Cool.
All right. So we're rolling for who gets to set up for the next discussion-y majigger.
Yeah, so we're kind of talking about what we're up to right now because Jace ran us through the games he's up to, and last time we talked about how to get into it. So this is the present moment. Have you picked out the 2 dice, or are you doing 1 dice? What are we doing?
Picked out 2 dice. I have them in my dice rolling box.
Is mine pretty in pink? Because if it's not,
It's not. I'll say we can dedicate this nice little white number to you.
What at your forehead?
And I'll give myself this nice looking coppery looking metal one because it's better. So
they just both look like blurry spheres to me.
Yeah, I saw
yeah, I
nothing.
assumed as much. So these are in my my dice rolling box that I made from a children's Bible. So just like hold out the inside. And,
so there goes some
kids.
viewership. Also, dear viewer, Justin has fixed his internet this session and does intend to fix his camera in the future. So never fear.
Never
Hail
fear.
Satan.
So Here we are.
And apparently that's where we're at now too. We are officially outing ourselves.
We've picked our audience. All right, man. So highest number is going first.
Yeah, I just want to watch you shake that dice a little bit more. Close fist. Blow on it.
You'll see it.
We can't do
No.
that. Wrong part.
Can you
show
move,
everything but where it is?
can you move the camera down? There we go.
Better?
I can see one dice. Oh my god.
Lift it up.
Look,
Just read them out.
go Brady. All right, just go.
Was it actually me though?
Yeah, it was. It was a 14 and a 10. So there you go.
14. I didn't just beat you. I beat your ass. Cool. All right. So what am I up to now in regards to my stuff? So anime, I'm actually, so because of this show, like cool thing, I sort of got a bit renewed and wanting to know a little bit more about the thing that I'm talking about. So I thought I'd go back to a classic, one that I haven't actually watched and have always intended to. And it really like, I'm quite driven to do it now. Whereas usually I'm like, oh, I should do that, but nah. So I'm watching Evangelion. Yeah, it's heavy. It's not a light show. What the mecha that kicked it all off, really? I mean, Transformers is a little earlier, but it's not Japanese, it's not anime, and it's not brutal.
And wasn't Transformers designed purely to sell toys?
Yeah, very different concept.
It was designed for Mattel, wasn't it? To sell their Transformers toys.
I'm entirely lost. Like, what the hell? I didn't even know what the words you said were.
Yeah, that's fair.
You say Yvonne, as in like a girl's name in Evangelion?
Yeah, Evangelion.
Evangelion.
It's an A.
Think like evangelical. Like
right,
the type of religious person.
Yeah, so it got shortened. It gets shortened in like the otaku circles to Ava, which is also annoying because that's kind of starting with an A. But anyway, Ava. So watching Ava, it's one of the most notoriously feelsy original animes because even though it's giant mechas fighting each other, the character development and the way they make you feel about them is pretty intense. Like I'm at episode 11 of 26 in the original run series. And it's a lot of...
Is it that short?
It's pretty short, but then they did movies that were like... So essentially from what I gather, and I didn't want to read too much because I want to watch the damn thing, they basically ran out of money towards the end. So episodes 25 and 26 feel like they're phoned in simply because they couldn't afford to do it the way they wanted to. So they were kind of rushed. People didn't like the way it ended. Not as bad as Game of Thrones last season, but pretty bad. So they created these movies that are kind of redos of those last two episodes. And then they've done other things since then as well that include extra scenes, or typical in anime, after something's been out for a while, they'll create a movie that's a small rundown of an entire series. That's very common in anime. Yeah, it's great. Loving the shit out of it, to be honest with you. It's very feelsy. I get all of it. It's pretty wild.
It's one of those animes that I've been recommended to watch so many times. I'm like, but it's old and it looks kind of average. And then people are like, oh, it's got all these like weird religious undertones and stuff, and
they're not even undertones, they're in your face. Like there's an item called the Spear of Longinus, which was the spear that took out Jesus. There's Adam and Eve, and there's a whole lot in it. I'm not going to spoil something that's like 20 years old, but it's quite good. Getting back to watching original stuff so I can talk about it on the show, basically. Really inspired to do so, though, so that's really cool. Loving the hell out of it. Also watching weekly, the English is Jobless Reincarnation. I realized in the last episode I sound like a wanker whenever I speak Japanese, so I'm just not going to do that.
Perfect.
Yeah. I figured you'd like it a lot more if I just spoke English. And my Japanese isn't good enough to want to put it out there on the internet anyway. So, but the Jobless Reincarnation, really, really good. If you can get past the horny, which is a lot of it, unfortunately.
The horny.
It's a lot of the show, unfortunately. But so it's reincarnated in another world, which is a genre very common in anime called isekai. I think we discussed that in the previous one.
Yep.
But he starts life as a baby instead of just starting life as an OP character. But because he was like a 40-year-old loser who played a lot of games, but never left the house and had no social skills, this time he's
Relatable.
like, yeah. This time he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be better. So he has like these traumas. There are reasons he was a shut-in. Like he had some horrible, embarrassing experiences in life. And this time around, he's not going to let that happen to him. He's pretty determined to be better as a person and improve on what his life used to be. And just so happens it happens to be a fantasy magic world, which works out quite well for a weeb. So yeah, it's cool. There is a lot of horny, but if you can deal with that and the fact that I think like the first 5 episodes are just like slice of life of this baby living in this world with this 40-year-old brain. And it's strange because like his parents are doing it at one stage, like his new parents, and he's kind of like he can hear it. And he's like, but they're my parents, but also sex. But they're not really my parents, but also they are. This is weird.
Is he talking in his brain or is he talking?
Yeah. So no, we hear it. We hear his thoughts in English because it's dubbed. But well, I watched it in subbed, but and then they had bits where he was like learning the language, but then they just like immediately translated it anyway. But he did say like I had to learn the language of this world. They didn't pretend it just happened to be Japanese. They're like, no, he has to learn it, and he's got to learn how to make his tongue with underdeveloped muscles actually work anyway, because he's like our baby. So he does learn quick and do things quick. So he does become a little bit like more powerful than your average person in that realm because he knows how to game and he has a 40-year-old brain in a child. So he's not wasting any time. He is grinding like a motherfucker. But he's not just born inherently more powerful. He's just born as everyone else, but because he has a maturity step up, right? Like he understands if I learn to read now, it can be useful in me utilizing the magic of this world. And that's what every fantasy person would want to do. So he does that. Really good. Like I said, wouldn't recommend it to a beginner anime person just because, there's a lot of stuff you need to be able to overlook. But if you can, it's interesting. I like seeing when they give him his traumatic past flashbacks and how he's now dealing with life, especially with like the social stuff that has nothing to do with magic and stuff. It's cool. So I'm watching both of those. They're occupying a decent amount of my time for what I have aside for watching anime. And I haven't spoken about manga on the show. I just said that I read it.
Yeah.
True.
Actually reading, so I read most of it online because we live in Australia and access to actual manga is pretty challenging. I'm actually reading a Korean one, which sounds very gimmicky because of Squid Games having been a recent thing. But it's a relatively unknown one. It's a gaming type one, so that's cool. Dungeon Reset, which is it's a Korean manga where basically it's kind of isekai themed where a bunch of people got transported to this place and it's sort of magic-y. They all get like one ability. And this dude, he's not really good at it and he falls into a spike trap within like the first 5 minutes. But he doesn't quite die and he kind of glitches and then the dungeon resets and anyone within the reset usually is supposed to disappear if they died, but he didn't. So he just kind of like crawled away bleeding. Because he happened to be in a trap where traps like the top of it reset, but anything in it doesn't, so that it looks gruesome to other people when they find it of like dead bodies, but he didn't die. So then, he's not recognized as a player by this game. So like, it's interesting what they do with it. Weird.
It's different.
Pretty cool.
It is different. So that's the manga I'm reading right now. I read Dragon Ball every month because I'm a sucker for nostalgia. It's not good plot lines, but I like reading it.
Yeah, like I like watching Dragon Ball. I know that ain't Justin's cup of tea, but like, just for some brain dead punchy, it's not bad.
Exactly, yeah. And I said that on last episode. If you enjoy that shit, I'm not going to make fun of you. Like some of the biggest franchises on earth were not the most, Fast and the Furious is not, food for thought. It's,
the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah. But you can enjoy the shit out of that stuff. You just, I wouldn't call it good story writing, but I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it.
Well, yeah, that summarizes most action movies as well. Like, yeah, sure, there are ones that involve a little bit of thought, but like, you know, we've probably all seen Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando, right?
Right. Yeah.
That is the most brain dead movie ever. My daughter be kidnapped, I go kill everyone. His daughter was played by Alyssa Milano, though, which I only realized when rewatching recently.
Bullshit.
Not dead set. Go check it out.
I don't think I want to because
you know she's hot now, and you don't want
You're gonna be creeping.
I checked her out a lot on Charm through my teenage years. I don't know if I want to see her.
Well, just don't check her out as a child, you fucking creep.
That's what I was saying. Oh.
This is on you, man.
Creep watches the anime.
Yeah.
Trust
Justin,
the anime guy.
Before we throw it across to you, because that's basically me updated right now. And just because it's going to be funny, do you actually need a definition on hentai and anime?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I thought that from some of your responses earlier in the episode. So anime is, I mean, we sort of went through that already in episode
went through
1.
The definition of an anime.
And hentai is
Japanese-ish cartoon.
Hentai is the same style drawings and whatnot, and typically from Japan, but it is porn.
Yeah, okay. I did know it, but I knew so many words that like you guys have been saying, and I'm like, yeah, I think I've got them all sort of jazzed up together right now.
Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah.
There is a difference, and like it's funny for Jace because he's a mate, and I know that he's just fucking with me to intro me that way. But for other people, like just it can be disheartening in life when you're like, yeah, I love the shit out of anime, and they're like, oh, you love hentai, and you're like, this is different things. Like,
I suppose that could be the opposite as well, though. You could be like, I actually love the shit out of hentai, and
you could. I wouldn't give a fuck.
Judge, like.
I wouldn't give a fuck if you did. Yeah. It's just an annoying thing for people to make an automatic assumption.
Yeah, because you like tentacles and
but tentacles are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool, actually. Yeah, true that.
Anyway, so
I'm not chiming in. I'm just I'm not allowed to say anything in this conversation. I already get too many assumptions thrown at me. Also, as far as tentacles go, Tokyo Ghoul. No, I'm kidding. Move on.
All right, Justin, what's been going on in D&D land?
D&D land. So I don't know about Wizards of the Coast and all the new stuff that comes out from those guys. I know that they've recently brought out some new books and things, but I'm not really that up to date with that stuff.
But before you get too much further, what do these books contain? Like, are they new rule sets? Like
not new rule sets per se, but they will bring out some new content. So I know a recent book has dropped. I can't even honestly give you the name of it, but they're basically like DLC. So like they'll just add new classes, new items, that sort of thing. And then alongside of these companion books, you get your actual story books, like your actual campaign books, and they'll give you kind of a rough idea of like, hey, here's the story of Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This is where you start at level 1, and by this point you should progress to level 2, and like they sort of baby you through the steps, sort of like give you a helping hand, some direction, some story plot, some main NPCs, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's like a storybook, but we can go into like a little bit more in depth with what 5th edition brings to the party and like what these books actually mean. Cool. Because there's a lot of them, and I think that's probably a very overwhelming thing to see when you go into like Zing or whatever, and you just see like 35th edition Dungeons and Dragons book, and you're like, I just want to get into this. Like, yeah, I'd legit just shit piss myself and walk out. Yeah, it's super overwhelming. And like to start with, I was like, right, so I guess I need all of these. So I just started buying them all. So like that was where I screwed up from the start. But I worked out after spending like $300 or $400. So
just a small investment, I see, sir.
So yeah, just a light investment. So, but anyway, so what's going on this week? I had my session last Wednesday, first session in a while where my group has actually been able to come to my house. And
so have you been continuing your Dungeon Master duties? Yeah. on via Zoom or something.
Dungeon Master duties.
Beauty.
Yeah, dude, we've just been doing it over Discord for a little while now, and
Yeah.
what we basically call theater of the mind. So we don't. I did go all out for a little while and set up extra cameras and have like guest appearances by my cameras so that we could have a game board playing, and I would physically walk around the table moving all of the pieces. But it just got a bit much. There's online tabletops, there's tabletop simulator, there's all sorts of different platforms. But I found like end of the day, this wasn't a plan for the future. Like we're waiting for lockdowns to come out, and then we're going to be back in person anyway. So we just took it easy, jumped on Discord, had a chat, got rid of the whole putting boards in front of our cameras thing, and just started playing like theater of the mind. So that's give people the benefit of the doubt, say that the characters are roughly 30 feet away, but a bit of give or take on that end of things. So we've been doing it over Discord for a while anyway. So that's about 6 people playing and myself as DM. So it's been pretty good. But we finally got to get together last Wednesday and sit around the table, so which is awesome. You guys will see the table at some point soon. Yeah, it's just a shed, but it's what you do with the space. So you guys will understand when you get here and you sort of have a look and have a feel. The music in the background, the sitting in a group with people around you, the snacks, the conversation, the lighting, all of that sort of stuff. You can't really do that over Discord. So it was good.
Whoa. I have to talk to you.
Yeah, you do. I
Deal
know.
breaker.
IRL.
Wait.
Yeah,
Are the snacks vegan friendly?
they could be.
Well then,
Are Doritos?
original flavor, yes.
I'm
shit out of
only-
luck, boy. Shit out of luck.
I was gonna bring just like jerky.
They do actually make plant-based jerky. That is a thing.
Yeah, let's go. No, that'd be
It's that
sick.
jackfruit shit.
Jackfruit makes good pulled burgers though. Just
Yeah.
but it's got
It
a
goes hard on
squeaky-
pizza
It's got
too.
a fucking weird squeakiness to it sometimes. Like I don't know.
No, you
Maybe
gotta
just
prep
tried
it
to
right,
crap out of
man.
the can
hey,
or
you gotta
something.
plan ahead with that shit. You can't just
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll hook you guys up with some jackfruit eats when we all sit around a table.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll try anything, but yeah, it better be good. That's all I'm saying.
So,
Jesus.
I'll probably have to kill your character. So yeah, so we got together around the table, which was great. Didn't really get that much D&D happening because we haven't seen each other in like 6 months. So you start getting into the D&Ds, and then you get sidetracked with a hey, you remember this moment from 2 years ago, sort of thing. So like we got a little bit done. They were inside of a dungeon-esque setting. Looked like they were going to have to face off against what looked to be some sort of a monstrosity covered in like fungi of sorts. He came into the light and revealed himself to be some sort of a construct that was driven by a small gnome. The small gnome by the name of Giz basically said that he was stuck down there. He couldn't come out into the world because of this fungi that was in the air, which they were now currently breathing and were also infected with.
It's very sci-fi.
Yeah, it was somewhat. Yeah, it was a little sci-fi for my sort of campaign. I'm not that sci-fi-esque, but yeah. Given the job, it was basically a fetch quest because I figured, let's just get this ball rolling on some D&Ds tonight. Let's just do this one little thing, come back with the fetch quest, and then we'll go and do our story.
And did they make life hell for you?
Like fetch quest was 4 hours, man. Like it was, it was the whole night. It was the whole night. So they go out into the wilderness. All they got to do is find some glowing bugs in the nighttime. Not that hard to do. They encounter a couple of them, but don't find enough of them. So they've realized they're going to have to find the nest. So they go during the day to find the nest and can't obviously see it because they're glowing bugs. So yeah, it just took a while to like really get to the point. And they finally realize it's on the edge of a cliff, some 300 meters high up there. And it's just coming on late afternoon. They send a small ferret up that they had created. The warlock had created it with a make familiar spell. And his name was Captain Ferret Sword. Creative. So he starts climbing this cliff face, finally gets to the top, and they're all just sort of watching him do this. They're not doing anything while they're waiting. One of the guys realizes that shit's probably going to go down and just sort of slips into the bushes like Homer Simpson style. And just as the pharaoh gets to the top, basically, you see the whole hive kind of turn red, and they realize that the hive itself was not a hive. It was actually covered in wasps. So the entire thing was wasps. They all spring to life, come back down, and start to fly at the adventurers, and that was 4 hours.
Nice.
So we left it on the high note of basically thousands of wasps flying down on these guys. Huge wasps, mind you. And they
Cliffhanger.
thought, yeah, cliffhangers are always good to leave them on, like, right? Yeah, literally a cliffhanger. So yeah, they're gonna have some shit to deal with. So fight or flight situation, basically. But yeah.
So question. Why did they go searching during the day for glowing things?
Right? Yeah. I don't know. they did so many things
Justin's
that were
Justin's frustrated.
Yeah.
Like
so yeah, I don't know. They set off overnight and it was all intentions, great. But then I don't know. If you're looking for glowy things, wouldn't you sleep it out during the day and then go, yeah, whatever. It's their story. Mistakes were made. Let's just put it that way, and it's ended them up in a pretty hairy situation. But it just shows like this thing was a fetch quest. It was probably like it was just to tie in a new player that was coming in that wasn't in the party already. So it's kind of annoying when a new player sits down and then you're like, oh, so this person's in the party when you wake up, and it's totally fine. It makes zero sense. Like, these
just
people
give him an
appear.
Isekai plotline. Just be like he reincarnated from the normal world. He was like a 40-year-old
work now.
And like that can be you could write an anime D&D plotline for us when we just Isekai into the world.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, so it was a quick little tie-in. I was meant to go, you run into these adventurers. There's one alive and 2 dead. There she is. Now she's joining the party. Now you go and get these 3 wasps that you need and come back to the guy, and we move on from there. But now it's its own thing now. So next session, they're going to be running from
you worked
glowing
on
wasps.
the fly and ran with it though. Sounds like
Cool. You've kind of got to be, or else you're just going to restrict your players too much. Like they'll be like, "Can I do this?" And you'll be like, "No, because my brain is not mentally prepared for that." That's kind of shit. It's like an open world where it's got restrictions where you can't walk to a certain point until you're a certain level. Like, that's super frustrating. I want to make my mistakes. I want to go in there and I want to die if I have to.
Yeah, but it's a little hard. Yeah.
Even if I know it's going to suck and I'm probably going to die, I still want the option to do so.
Yeah,
risk
absolutely.
and reward. So yeah.
What's the most creative move? I just want to know. I'm just going to put you in a hot seat and just fucking quiz you.
Yeah,
what's the most creative, weird shit a player's ever done to you? In a good way.
They're always doing like weird, like war tactic style stuff. Like, in the heat of combat, they'll just be like, well, I'm going to use this spell in a way that it shouldn't be used. So I can't think of an exact example, but they're always trying to bend spells to make things work like in a different way. So like instead of firebolting something, they'll firebolt like underwater and see if it boils something, or like to cook.
Cool.
Maybe I need to cook an egg. I'll firebolt underwater just to boil the egg or something crap like that. Just like just some dumb shit. It's usually the dumb shit that I'm like, what?
But how do you deal with like? How do you do like? Because like if it was just like, oh yeah, I want to throw a fireball at player X, you obviously just like roll for damage. Like, how do you do that when someone's like, oh yeah, I want to cook an egg? Like, how do you handle like that player request?
Basically, rule of cool. Like if it's sort of feasible, like unless it's completely out of the question, you just sort of go with it. Like in the case of people think like rolling a nat 20 is like the be all and end all, and like they're like, oh, I rolled a nat 20, so I can do anything with that roll. Like so I'm not only going to boil the egg, but I'm going to boil 10,000 eggs. It's like, well, no, you can't, because you don't have 10,000 eggs, and like you just physically couldn't do that with one firebolt. So there are restrictions in place, but within its means, like you can pretty much go anywhere with it. And that's the best part about D&D. It's not too linear. I have a story in mind, and I usually have a place where they'll end up by the end of the session. It wasn't with the wasps raining down on there. It was like next quest, story, something else happening, dark stuff, all of this other stuff. But it just depends on where the night goes. So you just got to be ready for the unexpected, I guess. That's the thing.
No, that seems cool.
So that's been the D&D world this week. We didn't get very far. We didn't do much, but it was kind of cool to see everyone in person again. And tomorrow I do the Star Wars RPG that I'm a part of, so which is cool.
That'd be cool.
Sweet. Yeah.
That one's over Tabletop Simulator, which is fantastic for the Star Wars setup. So it's awesome. So full 3D sort of a setup as if you were playing on in person, but around a digital tabletop.
Yeah, I've played games on Tabletop Simulator, but never actually like tabletop RPGs.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's a really good setup. We got a bunch of maps that were already preset for the start of it, but Zach, our DM for the Star Wars stuff, he's made a lot of it himself. So he's right into his 3D creation, whatever it is, 3D animator, or I don't know what he is exactly. 3D modeling, that's the word. So he's done a lot of maps and stuff and a lot of character design and stuff himself, which is friggin'
That's
awesome.
sick.
Like there's no
We might
way
have to
the regular person would be able to do it.
we might have to get because we spoke when we were going to do this about having guests from time to time. We might have to get back on, because I ran into him the other day and told him we were doing this, and he was like, "That sounds fucking cool. I want to do that."
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good for a Star Wars one, and I'm sure, given enough time, he could probably put together a one shot for us for like Star Wars as well.
Oh yes, sign me right the fuck up.
Yeah, I know you'll be into it for sure. Like just like a quick little like tattooing experience, or something. It would
That'd be fun.
Sick. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my week basically. It's just it's all about
Justin's week in a nutshell on D&D.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
And I think that's it. Like, I think I played a couple of video games, but I don't really remember what they were, so they weren't that memorable.
Great games.
Yeah. My friend Pedro, kind of cool.
Oh, dude,
Actually
I got
not
that
bad.
recently. Yeah.
Actually not bad. You can jump straight in and out of that thing, and it's just cool to do some like cool physicsy stuff with that.
Yeah. Have you seen it at all, Brady?
No.
So it's like a 2D platformer, I guess, is the easiest way to explain it.
Correct.
Like it's on a linear plane, and you're basically a guy that needs to shoot all the other guys. But to do so, you use like flips, slow motion, spins, multiple guns, your environment,
yeah,
everything. And it's got like a pretty good physics model to it as well. So you can like roll along the ground, or there's like knives on tables that you can kick off the table into a person and
flip tables over and such.
That's sick.
As cover.
It's really good. It's pretty cheap to buy as well at the moment. I think it's like $17-ish. Like it's not stupid expensive on Steam for me, but even on consoles, it shouldn't be too expensive.
Again, Game Pass, it was free on Game Pass, so that's kind of why I just went, hey, this kind of looks interesting for a moment.
What's Game Pass?
Xbox's
Xbox
subscription thing.
Yeah. Also, I think it's Microsoft, right? It's not just Xbox anymore.
Well,
right?
Yes, technically. Because
So you
Game
can
Pass
access
works for
those.
PC as well.
Yeah. So I've got like it's like the one thing that I actually pay for. No, because we're like, you share your accounts around, you share them.
Yeah.
So it's it is what it is. It ain't that bad. I think it's like $15 a month or something, and that includes my like live and
more than my anime.
And all that. So
but definitely check out My Friend Pedro. It's pretty good little romp.
It wasn't bad. The other one, I think, I'm not sure if I talked about it on here or not, but Unpacking.
You mentioned it to me on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I said that sounds terrible.
Nah, man, it ain't.
Is it like an Uncooked related thing?
Nah, man, nah.
Uncooked is
Overcooked,
like,
you mean?
Overcooked?
Dude.
Uncooked is just as cooking.
Overcooked.
Overcooked
I played.
is the
I think
shit.
Overcooked too, and like I was like, this stresses me out more than when I used to work in a restaurant.
Oh, bro, it's awesome. So I got together with 3 other
It's
chefs.
fucking, like the sushi
So,
game of
4
it.
chefs playing Overcooked. It was sick.
Why? You would have been so planned. It would have been not fun. You'd be like, right, you're flipping this.
Dude,
you're
we
doing
had
this.
so much structure. We were like 3-starring the shit out of that game. It was so good.
What's the point? I played it completely hammered at like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And we're doing like the sushi train. Oh, great.
On your own or with like a couple of people?
It was like 3 other people. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to do it. We're
You
playing
need a
on like
full
Switch.
team.
No, that's a party game. I can't believe you like
Show.
ruined it with your seriousness.
No, man. No. It was
Party
not
game.
ruined.
Just
It was-
wait till he describes unpacking. And he's
Yeah,
ruined
yeah.
video games for me.
So Unpacking is just a little indie game. Very short. You can probably finish in about, I think I finished in about 4 hours.
Oh, that sounds super fun.
2D, and you just start in a room and there's just a couple of cardboard boxes on the ground. You're like, what the fuck? And you click on the box and it just opens up, and then you grab an item out and you decide where to put that item inside of the room, and you just unpack boxes. That's literally the game.
Why?
That is it. The end. Try
Like
it.
I can understand why, because
'Cause
you are
OCD.
so boring that actually appeals to you.
Hey, just try it.
Most
man.
people's
I don't know why
fucking
I even
nightmare
downloaded
fuel
it.
moments in their life is when they have to move house.
Yeah.
Make a fucking game out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's brilliant.
to me, it sounds as appealing as Lawnmower Simulator. And I hate mowing the lawn. Why would I want to play a video game about it? I hate unpacking. Why would I want a video game about it?
Sounds.
Yeah. Give it
Have words.
just even just look up the video and just see. You'll know if you'll like it or not straight away.
I saw a screenshot once. I'm good. Thanks.
It's lovely.
Please and
It's
thanks.
aesthetically pleasing. The
I feel like
The
I'm
art
gonna have to
style
get
is
like
good.
hammered and play it and just
Yeah,
see
man.
what chaos. Like there'll be like tables on the roof or something. I don't know.
there's not that much freedom. It's just like whatever's in the box you can move around.
You
But
don't
anything in
even
the room.
You don't even get to cause chaos in this room. Like you've
there's
got to
no
put it
chaos.
out.
That's the whole point. There's no chaos. It's all
It's just a
OCD as
game.
hell.
It's just
Lovely.
it's interior designer simulator.
Nah, it's not even that. It's like
Yeah, no, it's
literally
not
just
that
put
good.
shits away. Put books and video games and controls and stuff away in the right spot.
Yeah,
and
I-
move on to the next room and do the same thing.
At least in The Sims, I get to build a cool house and tell people to get out.
And then like box them in and watch them
Yeah,
pee.
wall them in and watch them go crazy. Shall we?
Yeah.
Like literally, I feel like anyone who's played The Sims has done that. Like taken away the door.
Yeah, I remember when I found that you could delete the ladder in the pool, and then they'd eventually run out of stamina and drown. And yeah,
That's way darker. You're like
Swimming
what?
helplessly. And then you're like, I could do it with the pets as well. Like,
no. See,
Throw the
you
children
got the
in
whole
the pool.
family in there. And like if you got the father and the mother in there, they could actually have children. And then the children will drown after they died. So then they'd eat the bodies
Generational
of
death.
the other family and then they drown later. Fantastic.
that's getting
That's
way
dark.
dark.
Yeah, no. I didn't do that. I mean,
On
someone
that dark
might
note,
have.
Let's probably end the episode there
what?
because
Hang on.
wait,
Wait. Just before you kick that out, what about topics for next episode? Should we do a next time on?
I have no idea what the hell we would talk about. Let's figure that out later.
Oh no, we got suggestions.
We wrote one.
I was going to say, what about since that we've been like widely positive, telling people how to get into our shit, and then what we're enjoying now? What about negatives? Like what's bad in our field? Even though we
Oh yeah,
we
I
went through
guess
the
we could
good
give that a
stuff.
crack.
What do you reckon, Justin?
Sure.
All right.
Next time on Basement Discourse, we will discuss the negatives of our hobbies.
If anyone was wondering if we're a scripted show, you just got your obvious point to no. No, we are.
Yeah, I was like, I never know, like, because obviously we have like fields that we're passionate about, but
not. I don't
like,
have a word either. Yeah, I think interest.
because like interests, hobbies, passions, they all sound lame.
Yeah,
A little bit.
this is true.
And
Obsessions.
Nah, that's
that sounds creepy,
It does
Yeah.
sound creepy.
especially when you're the hentai specialist.
Mm.
You're welcome. But yeah, so we're definitely not scripted. But yeah, I guess we talk about the negatives next time, and yeah, we go from there.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, Frienderinos. I've been Jace. He was Brady, and then there's Justin over there somewhere too. And you guys can check us out on, I think, Spotify, Apple Music.
Spotify and Apple, yeah, the audios.
We got YouTube that you should subscribe to. There is also a Twitter and an Instagram, and you should follow on those.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, boys.
Get it done.
See you.